I'm a Maryland kid living in New York City. You know, you never get the sand out of your shoes, I think. We grew up on a farm, but right on the water, and the water was an everyday part of our life, but it was really the waterman's water, the working man's water. I was on the Chester River. There was recreational sailing, boating to be certain, but the watermen dominated the scene, and the watermen were just the finest kind of people that you could possibly ever know. My fondest recollections are the clarity of the water in the Chesapeake Bay. We used to fish for sunfish by dangling the bait piece of bacon on a hook in front of them all the way at the bottom. It was just teeming with wildlife. Blue crabs, oysters, rockfish, all kinds of wildlife, and in the fall, the wonderful migrating flights of birds and geese and ducks. It was just a very, very special way of life. My grandfather was the single greatest influence on me for lots of interesting reasons. My grandfather had retired and was down in the Eastern Shore, and he was a true character. He was a retired CEO of an insurance company, but he considered himself a waterman, and he comported himself like the waterman did. I'm told that my origins of sailing were in a dresser drawer, when I fit in a dresser drawer on my folks' boat, so that I wouldn't fall off the seats or get stepped on. While I have no recollection of it, I'm assuming that that began to influence me and my interest in sailing, and I have had it in my bones ever since. We sailed everywhere. I had a small boat that was a class boat called a Moth, and eventually sailed those boats competitively as a youngster. Sailing all my life has been a great source of balance because I've taken business all my life as seriously as I've taken sailing, or I've taken sailing all my life as serious as I've taken business. I'm not sure which comes first. But the fact of the matter is, sailing for me has incorporated what I consider personal attributes that have enabled me to be successful in business. I think really unbeknownst to me, I've been a sailor who focuses intensely and concentrates on the surroundings, the elements, the way the sails and the boat interface with the surroundings and the elements. And I found the same in my approach to business. And sailing has been the same way. What has made me the happiest and given me the most enjoyment in sailing is competing. And I love competition. I love competition in business. I love competition in life. My company was fortunate to be able to take a position as an anchor tenant in the new One World Trade Center building, and associated with that, I made the decision to relocate from Midtown Manhattan to Battery Park City. I never thought of the richness of this harbor that's right out my windows here. It is an absolutely alive, thriving harbor, not just commercial watercraft, but loads of fishing boats, tons of sailboats. It's just an incredibly alive community, and it changes your entire perspective on this city when you have this connection to the harbor. The opportunity to give back is one of the blessings in life. If you have achieved enough and you have the wherewithal, the opportunity to give back is something that I think is the fullest reward that there can possibly be in a lifetime. I've had the opportunity to be involved with many maritime historical societies around New York and the country, the South Street Seaport Museum, the Herreshoff Museum, and Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum. I think we are all very, very privileged to have these institutions around us and have such dedicated people serving them and in their way, therefore serving us. For me, within the community of sailing, a unique opportunity presented itself a couple of decades ago, and that was my association with the International Yacht Restoration School, which is now a full-blown school of trade education and technology. And the school's located in Newport, Rhode Island. It has roughly 200 students. It has a remarkable graduation rate at very, very low cost to the students, which is a very, very special thing today. But importantly, it provides an education that is a balance to the formal educations being provided by traditional universities today. It produces the ability to think and work with your hands and use technology in doing so. As chairman of IRES, newly elected in July of this year, I am determined to keep the school going in a very, very balanced way. Growth, of course, because there's more and more demand for people with these kinds of educations, but also quality. I think there's a limitless opportunity here, and I feel blessed to be able to address it. Fidelio's interior is remarkably similar to the interior of the Dickerson 35 that was my family's boat. And every once in a while I do think about that when I see a drawer on Fidelio open. Somehow or other, 70 years ago, I fit into one of those drawers. It makes me wonder whether the story is real, but it doesn't really matter. It's something to think about and something that I enjoy thinking about. Yeah, I sort of find it fascinating, and maybe many of you do too. I started out sailing in wooden boats, and it never occurred to me that I would go full circle and end up back sailing wooden boats. But my Fidelio, my S&S 39 Finistier's twin sister, is a pride and joy of my life, and she has that solid feel about her. So throw up a big breeze and she just absolutely loves it. Unfortunately, the reciprocal is true in light air. She hates it. But the fact of the matter is, here I am back in wooden boat racing, and that's probably why I have the big smile on my face that I always do.